Are you ready to transform your normal e-commerce business into one that experiences exponential growth year after year using online advertising? If so, this show is for you. Me and my guests will show you how you too can grow your e-commerce business to 7 or even 8 figures so you can go on more luxurious vacations, spoil yourself and your family, say yes to more opportunities, and become financially free so you never have to worry about money again. Welcome to the E-commerce Performance Marketing Show. How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Ecom Performance Marketing Show. And I have another incredible guest for you. And I'm doing this every single week, as you know, but I have a really incredible guest here. I've got Ben Gothard. Now, Ben is the Vice President of Partnerships at Dropify. He's an entrepreneur among many other things. He's also authored 10 plus books. His leadership roles currently include VP of Partnerships at Dropify, as I mentioned, and he's also previously been a part of the Life Mastery Foundation. He's the founder and host of the Project EGG show, and he's also CEO of Gothard Enterprises as well. It's going to be an incredible episode. I know we've got a lot of powerful stuff to dive into. Ben is definitely, he's young and he's accomplished quite a bit. So this is going to be like a really, really fun episode. So Ben, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Josh. Pleasure to be here, man. I appreciate you, and to everybody who's watching and listening. Y'all are awesome. We already know that. You're listening to this show because you're awesome. I would love to dive into some things today that could really move the needle for you in your life and take you from where you are now and help you multiply that a couple times. 4 or 5, maybe 10, maybe 20 if you really implement. So the only thing I would just ask, we're going to be bringing some thunder here. So I just ask that you really, really focus in and be present with us for this time. I promise I'll make it worth your while.
Hey, look, guys, listen to Ben here. I brought him on for a reason. I knew he was going to be powerful for you guys. And that's why he set the tone that way, because he really wants to make sure that you get a ton of value. Well, Ben, before we dive in and get started, why don't you tell the audience a bit about your backstory and how you got started?
Totally. So I grew up in New Orleans, born and raised in New Orleans, Louisiana. Love it. Love the crawfish. And, the thing that really was a defining principle for me growing up was family. And it was family mixed with learning and bettering oneself and just being the best version of yourself that you possibly could be. So that's kind of like the mindset that I approach everything with, or at least do my very best to. So starting off, I always was an overachiever in high school. And I started clubs. I was president of different clubs and head of the class, and I started a bunch of different things, and from president of Mu Alpha Theta, which is the math club, to captain of the basketball team, I had my hand in a bunch of different areas, even starting the school's radio show. So it was something where it opened my eyes to the power of being in a lot of different places all at once, and that's a recurring theme that we'll keep touching on throughout the rest of this episode. So that really carried over into college, and I started off pre-med. My uncle is one of my heroes. He's my godfather, and he's a doctor. He's one of the best physicians in all of Texas, and he was like my role model for deciding what I wanted to do with my life. Thought I was going to be a doctor. So started off pre-med first year, and I decided that wasn't really for me. Not because of grades. I mean, I had a 4.0 coming out of that, but I learned. Because I did like this before college, I did this thing called BIOS, which is like you prepare for college. So I wanted to just get a leg up, do anything I could to be the best. And they said, the goal here is you want to get good grades and you want to get an internship by junior year. So I heard that. I'm like, okay, internship, that's the key. That's like our key performance metric here that we want to really hit. So I got 2 internships by the very first break that I could, which was Christmas break of freshman year. It's like, all right, I'm going to crush everybody. So what ended up happening was I ended up watching the surgery, knee arthroscopy, which is just a basic surgery, like the most basic of knee surgeries. And they start off the surgery and they start off by sticking this needle in the knee, and this goo starts shooting out in the floor. I'm like, ew, that's so gross. And then they continue to do that. They sew everything up. They wipe their hands and they're like, all right, time to break for lunch. I'm like, guys, I am barely keeping down breakfast. Please don't talk about lunch yet. So from there, I decided to move into finance, and I figured if I'm seeing blood or guts in finance, I'm doing something wrong. So that really was a big inflection point in my life. And one of the things that I got early on, it made sense to me, was investing. The idea of investing. I'm still an investor today, and something as part of investing is the power of compound interest. So when you start early and you keep making progress and you get a little bit better every day, or you make a little bit more every day, and that compounds on itself, that growth over time, over the long term, you can beat anybody. You can win and you can do incredible things. It's not just these big one-time efforts. It's the small consistencies every single day that are going to lead you to be better and better and better and better and better. And so I got that early on. That was like the gift that finance gave to me. And randomly, as I'm learning these things, I thought I was going to be like a financial planner or something. I have very strong feelings about that now. That totally would not have jived very well, but it's a whole different conversation. But anyways, one day my roommate, I had 2 phone calls in the same day that changed my life forever. One was with my roommate, who he called and asked if I'd help him sell t-shirts. And the second call was from my dad, who is an attorney in New Orleans. And he's one of the best, by the way, if not the best. And so he called me, and they both asked the same question. Can you help me with sales with social media? And so I was like, okay, these things both happened at the same time. Yes, to both of you, but don't hire me, hire my company. And I kind of just randomly said that. And then I realized, oh, wow,
Nice.
This is actually a real thing. And so I almost accidentally got into entrepreneurship. And so I started a marketing agency, started getting clients. I represented LSU, which is Louisiana State University's whole finance department. That was like my first big client. Then I started building out, a whole team and building out a different bunch of products. And it was awesome. It was my first real business. In the meantime, because like I said, I've always had my hands in a couple different things here. I started writing, and I published my first book called CEO at 20, a little book for big dreams, on July 3rd of 2016. I'm sorry, July 7th of 2016. And then a couple days later, no, it was July 3rd. Doesn't matter. July 3rd, 2016. Then a couple days later, I realized very quickly that I needed to build a community of people, because it doesn't matter how good your product is or your service is. If you don't have a group of people to share it with to help, how's that going to help you? So how's it going to help them? So I started Project Egg, which stands for Entrepreneurs Gathering for Growth. And through that, I started to understand the power of community and the power of learning from people who were smarter than me. And so I quickly realized I did not have all the answers to the questions of the people in the group, but they knew the answers to each other's questions. So I started interviewing them, and that's how I got into the podcast. And along the way, and I'm going to kind of go pretty quickly so we can get to the main content now.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, this is great.
But along the way, then I started to interview a lot of people. I've done probably close to 400 interviews. Project Egg, I've actually paused its temporary hiatus as of right now to focus on the new show, E-commerce Mastery with Dropify. And so there's a reason for that. But Project Egg was an amazing experience. And I interviewed, like I said, hundreds and hundreds of people, including billionaires and New York Times bestselling authors and Emmy Award winners and TEDx speakers and professors and PhDs. Incredible people. And I'm really grateful for that experience. Along the way, doing a podcast, you meet really cool people, as you well know. And
so absolutely.
So I found some business partners. So I started a couple other ventures. I started a few e-commerce stores. I was part of a trading algorithm startup. I actually started a music festival in New Orleans with one of my buddies from high school, and that was awesome. I mean, the whole different conversation, but starting music festivals are one of the coolest things I've ever been a part of.
I can imagine. Sounds fun.
Yeah, super fun. So I did a bunch of things here and there, and it was always really investing as well. And what I learned by doing all of those things was the power of multiplying and compound interest. And that's, again, it's a recurring theme here. And so it really all culminated in Life Mastery Foundation, which is a business that I started with a partner maybe May of 2019 or so. And that was based around the idea of virtual summits. So online conferences we had the idea of let's bring together people to speak on and do it online. Let's do online conferences. And so we started doing that, started seeing some success, and I basically figured out how to build a sales team through that. And so we scaled from a team of just my partner and I to over 150 salespeople in like a 3 to 6 month period. And that was just an unbelievably powerful experience. And, unfortunately the pandemic wiped us out. And so I was just kind of at this, another inflection point, in my life where I'd learned so much, I'd done all these things, and the founders of Dropify happened to be dear friends of mine, and we were talking, and the vision that Dropify really has is incredible. And I'm not going to pitch or do anything like that, but it's just amazing how the future of e-commerce is being redefined right now in a really, really interesting way. So that was something that I was very, very excited about, and that I couldn't not be a part of. So here I am. And one of the things that I'm working on, one of the biggest things I'm working on there is the podcast e-commerce mastery, because the software really helps people source product. Right. And if you don't have a great product, I mean, you can do anything you want, but you're still going to come back to the issue of you don't have a great product. So Dropify really fixes that, and the podcast is there to help people with like sales and marketing, because the software really helps with almost everything else. So that's really like where that fits into the whole ecosystem. And a podcast, as you well know, is an extremely powerful tool for a lot of different things. And I'll come back to that, but I'll pause for now because I've been talking for a long time. So
no, you're good. Yeah, you're totally good, Ben. You actually share the name of my son too. His name's Ben as well. So it's a great name. But I got a ton of questions, but let me ask you this, and this just out of curiosity. How old are you, if you mind to ask?
Yeah, so I'm 25, and this October 22nd of 2020, I'll be 26.
Nice. So that's just incredible, because you're 25 and you've accomplished a lot up to 25, and that's really inspirational for everybody watching or listening to this, considering everything that you touched on. And I know there's a lot more there as well. Just looking at your LinkedIn profile, you've accomplished quite a bit. So I got to ask, like, what do you think caused that mindset going into adulthood, so to speak?
So I am the luckiest person in the world, because I was born into the greatest family in the world. And my grandparents on both sides and my parents were always just incredible. And I know I'm the luckiest person in the world, and I'm extremely grateful for it. And every day I try to think of ways to express my gratitude to those people that I recognize or have made my life just the greatest that it could possibly be. So I had great role models, and I had a lot of great people who could show me the power of hard work. And I also think, I'm Jewish, I also think it's baked into some of the core values of Judaism, because when I was 12 years old, I started studying for my bar mitzvah at 13. And so I spent a year working on learning Torah, which, if you've ever tried to read Torah, it's really difficult, because it's like trying to read without vowels in a totally different language that you really don't know that well. So that's hard. So you have to study. So I studied and I worked at it, and I had a teacher, and we worked at it. And every week, and every day I would have to study, and every week my teacher and I would meet. And over the course of that year, I learned it and did it. And when the day came, it was amazing, and it was one of the greatest experiences ever. And through that, I learned the power, and it just reconfirmed for me the power of hard work. And when you put in the effort, you get the reward. And it may not be that same day. It may not be that same week. It may not be that same month. And it may not even be that same year. But when you consistently put forth honest effort, and you really give it everything you've got, and you know when you're doing that, good things are going to happen to you. And it may be in an indirect way, and it may not be exactly the things that you were hoping would happen, but great things will happen and life will get better, and just keep moving forward and keep getting a little bit better every day. Aim for
Yeah,
1%, 1% better
definitely.
every day.
Definitely. I like how you said that too. Like, everybody knows when they've really put it out there 100% on the field, so to speak. I think that maybe a challenge that a lot of people have is that they have like a self-limiting mindset, meaning that they don't know how hard and how far they can actually go. And, I think that it's good for people to put themselves in situations where they really stress that and they see just how far they can push themselves. I know I've done that business and personally, with marathons and things like that I've done, and or challenges that I've done, 100 burpees a day for 100 days, for example, this year. And it's just I think it stretches your mind and stretches how you feel about your own potential when you put yourself in that position.
Absolutely. One of the core philosophies that Life Mastery Foundation was built on was this idea of 7 core disciplines, that you can organize your life according to 7 core disciplines: relational, financial, spiritual, physical, emotional, financial, and industrial. And if you can, I think I said one twice, intellectual. And if you can progress at least 1% in all 7 of those core disciplines every single day, at least 1%, and really progress in them. And I'm talking for relational. You might say, well, how do I improve my relational discipline? Pick up the phone and call somebody you haven't talked to in a while and improve that relationship. That one is probably the most you will find the most hesitation to do that, because there's just a mindset thing with it. But every day get a little bit better. So intellectual, read; physical, exercise; eat right; emotional, journal; become emotionally aware. Like, literally at any point of the day, can you stop and express and communicate and articulate exactly how you're feeling at any point? It's harder than it sounds.
Mm-hmm.
Spiritual: do you have a meditation practice? Do you have some sort of religious practice? And religion and spirituality, I'm not going to go into that, but they can be separate and to each their own. But do you have some sort of spiritual practice that you do every single day? So
Mm-hmm.
are you intentionally building into your day practice to get better at all these different things? If
Yep.
yes, then you're probably pushing yourself. If no, and if you're not, like, a lot of people are like, it's so hard to be self-aware. I don't really know. I have these blind spots, but they're blind spots. So how do I really know? Just get honest with yourself. If you want it bad enough, I don't know if I could say this, but cut the shit.
Go
Like,
ahead. Yeah,
cut the
yeah.
shit. It's not a mystery. Like, yourself better than anybody.
Yeah.
You're
You're
your
just
own
making
best
that
teacher.
that statement, you're blocking yourself essentially. Like, I've caught my sister, I have 2 sisters, but I've caught my older of the 2 sisters doing that somewhat recently, where we were at like a dinner table for my mom's birthday, for example, and she said something, I can't remember exactly what she said, but I came back and I said, that's just a self-limiting sentence that you just said, Rachel, that's her name. And I'm like, when you tell yourself that, you're only holding yourself back from being able to see yourself differently, and you're giving yourself an excuse essentially to prevent yourself from actually getting better or being open to other possibilities that you have with yourself. Is what I said, something like that to her, and and she got it, and what you said is absolutely true. And those 7 disciplines, how do you feel like that impacts the success of your life and your business, in your experience and what you've seen too with people in your family and also in your circle?
So if you choose to see life through that lens, and there are many lenses and you get to choose, that's the cool part, then it can be a foundational philosophy to base everything on, that you then have metrics to understand that for yourself. And I know I just threw a lot of words out there, but if you listen to it again, and I would highly suggest listening to this episode a couple times to really make sure all this sinks in, it'll make sense. But I do want to preface that by saying it's easy for me to say these things because these are things that I'm doing every day, and I'm in my position. I'm not in your position. Josh, your position, and everybody watching and listening, your position. So it's easy for me to say these things because I know I'm doing them every day. I know that my life has been lived in a way, and there have been forces that I can and cannot control that have contributed to lead to the situation that I'm in. That being said, and I don't want to diminish from the situation that anybody else is in. That being said, if you do want to get to a certain place and there are additional obstacles that are specific to you, then this is still helpful because you're still going to have to go from where you are to where you want to be. It may be a longer journey than I have. Probably is. I'm very lucky, and I know that. That doesn't change the fact that if you want to get there, and it may be unfair, odds may be stacked against you, I don't know, you're still going to have to get to that end point. And you're still going to have to go through a certain amount of bullshit and a certain amount of work and effort. And it's going to be really difficult to get there, but you can do it because other people have done it in the past. And not to compare anybody to anybody else, but we know as human beings that it is physically possible. For example, I study really successful people. One of the people that I study from a success factor, not from exactly how he did it, was Augustus Caesar, right? Emperor of Rome, way back in the day, obviously killed a lot of people, obviously not a great role model in some aspects, but at his peak, he had acquired a net worth of about, adjusted for today's inflation and in 2020, about $4.63 trillion. So he's one of the wealthiest people to have ever existed in the history of humanity, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree with him killing people, but that's, take that for what you will. He accomplished it. It's possible. So what does that mean? That means any human being can also accomplish that level of success in the financial arena. Are you going to have to go about it differently? Probably. I would not suggest trying to conquer the known world for a lot of obvious reasons, but it's possible, right? He did it. Think of somebody like John D. Rockefeller. Think of somebody like Andrew Carnegie. They're just people. They're just people, just like you and I. And people are incredible. So they have paved the way to show us that it's possible. So let's blaze that path beyond what they've already done. Let's meet them where they were. I realize what I'm saying. It's very difficult. Almost nobody is going to do it in the history of humanity. But why not you? It could be you. If you decide to do it and really give it your all, you might be able to do it. I'd suggest trying, because you never know until you actually try. But let's meet them where they got to, and then let's exceed that, and let's bring humanity forward in a lot of really interesting ways. So
Definitely. I love what you said there. I mean, that definitely is very inspirational, very powerful. And one thing too that I was curious about when you were going over your story, and some of the things that have gone into your mindset and where you're at today, is how do you choose your opportunities and your partners? Because it sounds like you've done that quite a bit, and it sounds like you haven't been shy about doing that. It sounds like you've when the opportunities have come, you've probably gone through some sort of process. And I'm just curious what that process looks like.
Totally. So I'm very trusting by nature. I've been burned before, but not enough to where I'm not trusting. So I'm pretty much willing to give anybody the benefit of the doubt. And if you come to me with a good idea that I can execute on in a reasonable amount of time that's not going to distract from the other things I'm working on, why would I not help? And the best way that I can usually help is by making introductions and planting the seed for how to take it forward. So a lot of the things that I like to do are bringing together the groups of people who are way better at doing the thing than I am, and bringing them together, making introductions, and planting the seed of like, well, what if we took it there? Or maybe we could think about something in this arena, and then letting the people who are way smarter than me figure out the way to actually execute and go do those things. So I learned very early on, for example, that I am not a technician, and I'm not very organized. So I'm never going to be the guy that's sitting behind the screen just typing all day, working on a particular piece of code to make this one thing move over here. Or not to diminish that. That's extremely important. It's just not me. That's just not me. Like, I love looking at opportunities and bringing together the people who can capitalize on those opportunities. So for example, I'll give you an example. Artificial intelligence is probably the biggest opportunity that has ever existed in the history of humankind. Like, think of how much the internet changed the world. AI is going to do that times 1,000.
Yep.
I made that number up, but by a huge multiple, right? So if
Totally.
you're thinking, how can I position myself to be one of the world's most successful people, or the world's richest people, or somebody who's controlling what happens in the future, that could be a good place to look at, because that's going to have a huge, I don't know if this is a word, but like a multiplicative effect. So like, you invest your time in one thing and it's a multiplier, right? Another thing I learned from investing and from all the work I've done is the best investment is an investment in people. It's an investment in people. Think about the power of compound interest. You can take a small compound growth in compound interest over the years, and you can turn a little bit of money into a lot of bit of money. But think about that with relationships, and think about investing in people over the long term. If you do it consistently over an extended period of time, where you're building up your network, you're building up your relationships, there's nothing that you can't do, because you always know the people that are able to do it. So you might not personally be able to go in there and type on a computer and create the next big AI company, but you know the people who are capable of doing that, and you can help put them to get together and set the vision, and then they're better at it than you are. So then you let them take it over and do it, and then you still have a hand in it because you put it together and you provided value. So like,
nice.
Hopefully that answered your question. I kind of went off on a tangent there.
No, that was good. No, it was really good. Well, one thing that we always ask on, this show is, like, what has been your biggest e-com success to date? If you can maybe just tell the audience what that was, what it looked like, what led to the results, and what you did, that'd be awesome.
Totally. So it was absolutely building the sales team and turning that from a 0-person sales team to 100 plus, about 150 people sales team. And the reason I say that is because most people are thinking of e-commerce as, let me set up a Shopify store, let me run Facebook ads there, and let me make some passive income.
I know.
But just think about it. Think about if you actually had your own product. Either you private label it, or you literally invent a product, you work with a manufacturer, whatever, but it's something that only you have access to sell. You have the rights to it, okay? At that point, building a sales team to go out and sell it. You can have some people go and sell it through retail. You can have some people go sell it wholesale to other people online. You can go and you can set up on Amazon. You can set up your Shopify store. You can set up some funnels. You can work with other people. You can do partner. At that point, you can build an enormous team to get that product out into the market. It doesn't matter how you choose to do it. It matters how you choose to do it. But there are many different ways to go about doing the same thing, which is getting your product out to the market and having people use it and having people love it. So that's probably the biggest thing. And it's not as hard as you would think to get started with it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for people that haven't worked in sales or sales management, maybe it might be a little challenging, but it doesn't mean you can't figure it out and you can't do it, especially when you have a network, you have people you can ask, and you could learn from them how they were able to build sales teams. So this was for an e-com business, right? When you built that sales team? Okay. So, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay. And so you had and I know you built it pretty quickly. I can't remember what the time frame was that you said at the beginning of this episode, but you did it fairly quickly, right?
Yeah, it really took about 3 to 6 months to go from 0 to 150.
Yeah, that's nuts. That's huge. And so getting the product out to, different markets or different, businesses. So what did the sales reps do? Like, what were some maybe examples of how you set the expectations and how you said, like, I need you to go to these department stores, or I need you to go to these distributors. I mean, what was your battle plan essentially, and how did you put the sales team in a position to do that, to get the products out to different places out there?
Yeah, totally. So, I want to make sure that we're totally on the same page here. So with Life Mastery Foundation, we were selling info products. So it was e-commerce, because we were selling information, but I wasn't using this to sell physical products. So I just want to make sure we're on the same page. That being said, it can still work for physical products too. So let's talk about it, right? So what I did with my salespeople was, I would personally interview them, and I would understand what their interests were and where they saw themselves going in life and on a career trajectory. And then let's say they had an interest in fishing, maybe, or let's say they had an interest in yarn or knitting, or I'm just thinking random stuff. Skiing.
It's possible.
Ski gear. Yeah. Whatever.
That's a good one. Yep.
Yeah. So let's say they had an interest in something, and everybody has different interests, and two people might have a similar interest but come at it from different angles. That's fine too. I would then merely make a suggestion of, well, why not focus on that specific industry or that specific vertical? And so I would basically teach them philosophies and the philosophy of the 7 core disciplines, and I would help them become a better human being. At least do my very best to do that. Become a better human being by focusing on the 7 core disciplines. One of those being industrial, which is like your work, captain of industry. And so by helping them become a better person and giving them the opportunity to do work in a way that they really enjoyed, in a space that they really enjoyed, and giving them total freedom of time and autonomy, both geographic and time-wise, they would figure it out. And the beauty is, you want to empower them and give them the foundation that they can then go and become rock stars in their own right, in their own way. And this only works if you're hiring really, really good people, because if you're hiring somebody who's just like bleh, then very technical term there. But if you're hiring somebody like that, then they're going to ask you, okay, well, who do I go sell to? And what do I say to them? And how do I do this? And they're going to ask questions, and they're going to basically want you to do their job for them. But the really good people, you give them the foundation and you give them the raw materials, and they'll go out and they'll figure that part out, because that's what they like to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just hiring for character, first and foremost, is what you're talking about. But that's awesome. I love that. I love how I heard that you really teach people mindset first and foremost, and that's what a leader should do first and foremost. And I love that. And also like how you were really finding out what they wanted. This way you can help them as a leader get to where they wanted to go by creating a win-win environment with them. And that's key as well. I learned that in corporate America when I was a manager as well. So that's awesome. Well, cool. Well, I know you've got like 3 strategies, tactics that you prepped and you were excited to share. And I told you, wait, don't share it yet before the episode, because I wanted you just to share it during the episode so we could really just talk through it. I'm excited. I know the audience is excited to learn more from you. So do you want to go ahead and dive into those?
Sure. So the first one is actually to build a sales team. That's the first one. So I'll tell you how to do it. First, you have to have a business, and then you have to have a really good product. That is key. If you have a product that if you had a product that you would sell to your own family and you would still be able to sleep at night, you're onto something, right? Great product. You want to have a great product. You have to have a great product. Start with that. Then, once you have a great product and you just need to distribute it, you go on to Indeed, okay? And you set up a couple of job postings and do it by state, and set up a job posting for each state, or maybe start with one state if you want to start off small. I kind of try to take it by the horn. So I did it all across the continental US, and then I made it remote. So a lot of people were very interested. I mean, I had like thousands of applicants in a very short period of time. Damn. So go on Indeed, set your job posting. Either the first one or some of them are free, so you can actually hire people for free, and just put exactly what you want in an individual and tell them who you are, what you believe, why you're looking for somebody, who exactly you're looking for, and what they're going to be doing. And then let it go out into the Indeed world, and they're going to start sending you candidates if you wrote it to be appealing. And then you're going to get people applying to be salespeople of yours. And then you start going through their resumes and you start seeing, okay, does this person look like somebody I want to have on my team? Either yes or no. If yes, invite them to an interview. Do a Zoom call with them and sit there for 30 minutes or an hour with them and have a conversation. Okay. If you want like a really quick in to understand who they are as a person, ask them this question. What is your story? And then be quiet and listen. It's awesome. Like you will hear so many amazing things.
Really good question.
Oh man. It's open-ended enough to where they have their whole life to draw from. And it's pointed enough to where you get the good stuff. And so ask them that, have a conversation. If they seem like somebody that you'd like to spend the next, and I'm assuming, so I'm working with a few base assumptions. I'm assuming we have a great product. I'm assuming we want to stay in business forever and become the biggest, baddest, best. The baddest is in a good way, but the biggest, the best business ever. And we want to just become huge and be really successful. So those are the assumptions I'm working with. So think about when you're having a conversation with this person, what I want to hang out with them every day. Like what I enjoy this person every single day, because essentially you are going to be with that person every single day, because that's the end goal. You want them to be a monster salesperson in a good way, monster salesperson, and be the greatest salesperson that there's ever been, and work with you, and everybody makes tons and tons of money. Great. Yep. So do that and rinse and repeat. As far as technically how to go about doing it, I'm hesitant to go into the technical side of it because the technology always changes, but find an e-signature platform that you like, and find a CRM system that integrates with that e-signature platform, and automate as much of this as you can. What do you want to automate? You want to automate them applying. So you want to send them from Indeed to your website and get them to basically sign up for an interview on your website. Or you could do it straight on Indeed. That's fine. You want to capture their information. Think of it like prospecting, but for people that you want to hire, right? So you want to have your CRM system set up. You want to have your hiring and onboarding pipeline set up. And then you want to bring in automation wherever you can. So I got it to the point where I was hiring like virtual people to help me with this. And so I taught my VAs, for lack of a better word, I taught them how to go through and find the right people that I wanted to interview. And I basically gave them control of Indeed, and I let them do that. So all I would see is I have 10 interviews today of people that I'm going to potentially hire if they're the right person. So the only thing I would do is I would get on to the Zoom call. I would figure out if I wanted them on my team. If yes, I would then move them forward in the CRM to the yes, and if no, I'd move them forward to the no. And if it was in the yes, I would then trigger a bunch of automations to send out their contract, their onboarding, their blah, blah, blah. And then I would have a sequence set up where every day they would get something from me. So whether it would be training, a book recommendation, talking about our core philosophy, some sort of like a motivational thing. And I would basically set up the sequence to where every day they get something from me, and every day they're hearing from me. Every single day they're getting a little bit better. So I felt like it was my job to help them progress in their own lives, at least 1% every day. So that video was geared at making them a little bit better every single day. And so that's how you keep them engaged. And then you have some deadlines. So we did it on a per summit basis, where one salesperson was basically in charge of one summit. And so I had in the automation, while they're getting this daily thing, they would also cycle through the summit launch timeline. So I had like a 90-day process. We'd launch from day 1 is when you choose your topic. Day 90 is when the summit launches. I had that all mapped out, all automated. And basically it got them in this loop where they would finish one summit and they would come back and start another one. They'd finish it and start another one. And there were a few days that they could take between ending a summit and starting a new one if they wanted. But I wanted the aggressive people that wanted to start 5 summits at once. I'd be like, whoa. focus on one, focus on one. No, I was holding up two fingers, but focus on one. And so I basically got them in this loop there. And so that basically it takes a lot of work up front, but that takes all of the time out of the management side, because I strive to be a great leader, but I know the day-to-day management, not my strong suit. So I wanted to build a system to where I could lead one to many. And so that's really what I built there.
Yeah, that's smart.
Mm-hmm. And so that's how I did it. Is I used Indeed to get the applicants. I had this it was a very intricate, and it took a lot of time to build, but this automated like onboarding and hiring system, and then it actually helped them in their day-to-day as well, of like how to keep going through and cycling through the activities while getting better at the same time. So it got kind of complicated in the automation stage, and it requires a lot of work, but the results of that are unbelievably powerful. And I'll be the first to admit it. I know that company failed, right? And inherently, one of the issues with that was the product. I didn't nail my product the way I now know that I need to. So with a great product in this system, you're unstoppable.
Yeah, no, that's a great system. Yeah, I love that. That was really cool. Yeah, I mean, the automation, when someone comes on board for the first time, that just seems super powerful, and also puts you in a more leveraged position as the leader or the owner. So this way you don't have to spend time with people necessarily one-on-one, not that you don't need to at times, but you won't need to do it as much when you have the automation, happening to really onboard those people and put them into your company the right way.
Well, so you want to automate the monotonous tasks that you don't need to be doing, so that you can spend more human time doing the things that only you can be doing.
Yeah, for sure. Well, cool. I know you've got like two other things I think you were going to share, right? And I know we're getting kind of stressed for time, so I mean, if we need to close it out early, that's fine. Just let me know.
Sure. So I'll kind of speed things up. One thing I learned I learned a lot of things, but one of the things that I'm going to talk about today that I learned doing the podcast was this idea of omni-channel content distribution. Okay. It's powerful. There's kind of two camps of like, each platform needs its own native content, or let me create one piece of content and repurpose it to a lot of different places, and then edit it or curate it in a way from that original piece to make it native to that platform. I'm this camp.
Same.
Because I want to do things that multiply. And I know that if I take a lot of time to build a super high quality piece of content, I want to use that. And I want to use it over and over and over again, because I know how powerful it is. So here's the system that I figured out. Step one, you create an excellent piece of content. Video content is best, sort of like a podcast. So you start with an excellent piece of content. Then you take that video and you put it on all the major channels. So you put it on your Facebook, you put it on your YouTube, you put it on your LinkedIn, you put it on this platform called Amazon Video Direct. You know how you have Prime Video? Well, anybody can put their stuff up there, and you can get paid by Amazon to do it. I don't know why nobody does that, but it's powerful. You can make a ton of money doing it. It's awesome. So you put it on there. Then go out and find these other marketplaces with buyers in it. So go look at like Etsy, or go look at something like a Gumroad, or basically look for any platform where the platform will send you traffic, and you put it there. You just put it everywhere. Bonus points if you stream it in the beginning, because there are some platforms that you can only stream on. So what you do is you stream your content in the beginning, or you record it and then you stream the pre-recorded one. That's like a hack there. Make sure you're doing it ethically. There's some things there you need to think through about how you're doing that. But stream it, use a technology like a Restream, and you basically do one piece of content and it'll blast it everywhere. And streaming's awesome. So stream it, then take that recording and put it on all the platforms, and put it on a marketplace, even if you don't know if you're going to sell. because a lot of the marketplaces are free, or they cost like $1 to put up the video or something crazy. So just put it everywhere, get it everywhere. Then you take the audio from it and you publish it as a podcast. And then you go back to those original, all those platforms you just put the video on as a recording in those marketplaces, and you publish the audio version, because it's an audio book at that point, right? So you publish it there. Then you go to, well, we'll have to come back to the one audio part, but you publish it like that. Then you get that audio transcribed into a book format, and you publish it as an ebook, a paperback book, and an audio book. That's what I was saying before. So you go on Amazon, and there's Amazon KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing, something like that, and you publish it there, and they can handle all the distribution for you because it's Amazon. So basically, you want to leverage other marketplaces to send you traffic. So you go there, you publish that there, and then you go to all the other different publishing platforms. So you go to Google has a book thing, Apple has Apple Books, Barnes & Noble has an online publishing thing. There are some directories where you publish to one and it'll publish to all the other books. So publish ebook, paperback, all those. Then you want to go to this website, I think it's called BabbleCube or something like that, something. But you basically upload your book there, and people will, for free, translate your book into other languages for free. And BabbleCube has its own marketplace. So you publish on all those other marketplaces. Then you take those books in different languages and you republish it on all the platforms you just published the English version or whatever your native tongue is. And so you do all that again, right? Then if you're really, really awesome, you'll go back and you'll get a voice actor or somebody who speaks the language to then do a voice recording of that same translation, and you'll republish the audio in all of those other different languages, and then you'll dub over the video in all those different languages. And so you're like 100xing one piece of content. And then to make it all better, you then take small little snippets. So you take screenshots of it, you take little clips of it, teasers, and you blast that out on social media. And so you get that out. You get that all out there. So why are we doing this? One, we're getting the whole world to send us traffic for free, or we're getting paid, like for Video Direct or for Kindle and stuff like that. But also, the power of it is in the description of those places where you're then putting your calls to action, or in the video itself, you're giving people calls to action, or you're just building brand equity with them. So you use that media, and you then use that media to draw people to you in a lot of different languages if you're really good. That's for experts, of course. Not really. You can go to BabbleCube. It's really easy to do. But like very few people are going to do it. Be that person, and you'll set yourself apart. So it'll send all sorts of traffic to you. And basically, if you consistently do that, you can just win at whatever you're doing. So let's say you have an e-com store, you have one product. There's only so many photos you can take of that one product. Start creating content and use the product in different, get creative with it. You can figure it out. You're smart. I believe in you. So create content, or use strategy number 3, which we'll get into in a second. But create the content, do all that, drive it back to your website, capture the leads, sell more product, be awesome, do awesome things. So that is number 2.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, so I've produced, 2 books. You might have already known that, but I was planning on the second book, repurposing it into different languages. And I was going to do it the hard way. You just made it the easy way. So thank you.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. So let's get into number 3, and I know we're short on time. So number 3 is start a podcast, start a show of something. Just go on YouTube and start a show, or do a podcast. They're so easy. If you want to do it for free, use Anchor or some other free podcast hosting thing. Like it's not ideal, but if you're trying to bootstrap it, just do a podcast. And you may say, why would I want a podcast, Ben? And for those just on audio, I'm looking up like with a questioning look on my face. But why would I want to do a podcast, Ben? Okay, here's what you do. You want to interview people that you want to work with. So let's say you're selling a product and you need to meet gym owners. You sell a fitness equipment, whatever. So you start a podcast about health and fitness, or how to run a gym, how how to run a gym or how to manage a health club, whatever. And then you go interview your ideal customer and the people that you want to work with. Or you go interview the people who have networks of your customers, right? So let's say you go and you have a health and fitness thing, and you go interview a person who does marketing for 4,000 gyms. And you say, well, tell me what's working best for all of your customers, gym wise. And so, or just ask them about their lives and their stories and build a relationship. So become friends with this person, and then just be their friend, build a relationship. Because when you build the relationship and take interest in them, then naturally they'll take interest in you. And they're like, oh, wow, look at this awesome product that you have. Let me distribute it for you to my 4,000 gyms. So it's like, use the podcast to connect with extremely high leverage people that you can build relationships with, be friends with. That's the part we all forget. Like, be their friend, get their phone number, get their physical address, text them, send them notes, send them thank you notes. If you know they like barbecue, send them some barbecue sauce or something. Like, do whatever it takes to become their friends, build the relationship, do good things for them, and they'll do good things for you. I promise. So the beauty of starting a podcast is you could do a lot of different things with it. For example, you can then take that podcast episode, you could repurpose it using strategy number 2. So it's awesome. It works.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. And yeah, relationship building is huge when you're in business. I mean, I couldn't be where I'm at today if I didn't have a strong network that I really focused on working on since 2014, was when I finally kind of branched out of my little bubble that I was in for about a year. And I made friends in, different places through business that, ended up being good, really good friends, people that I can really relate to. That has helped me in so many different ways, whether it's just something like support to helping me, have a #1 international best-selling book because they promoted the book with me and they also bought the book, for example. So yeah, networking is super powerful. Oh, thanks, Ben, for those. I appreciate it. Those are awesome. This has been an incredible episode. I've got one last step and then we're done. And then I'm going to let the audience follow you and you can tell them how they can do that. So during this last round, we've just got a bonus round here. It's just a fun little way to end the episode. I'm going to ask you 4 questions and you have to answer each question with only one word. What caused your biggest e-com success to date?
People.
Nice. What advice do you have for other e-com business owners?
Long term, kind of 2 words, but still one.
We'll hyphenate it. It's fine. I've let other people get away with it. It would be unfair if I didn't let you get away with it.
Yes.
How would you describe yourself?
Curious.
I can see that. And then what do you see in your future?
Peace.
Nice. All right. Good deal. Cool. Well, how can the audience, whether they're watching or listening to this, how can they follow you, get to know you more, and possibly even work with you and check out some of the businesses that you're involved with, especially like Dropify, which is just an awesome platform for e-commerce businesses out there, and they should definitely check that out.
Totally. So I'm actually a big proponent of not dropping URLs because I don't want to do that. So what I would suggest is if the things that we were talking about today resonate with you in some way, or you want to learn more, either search for my name on the internet in some way, shape, or form, whatever platform you're using to do so, and figure out where I'm active at any one point in time and hit me up, and I'll do my very, very best to respond to you. And or any of the tools or websites that I mentioned, just search for them. URLs change, links change, technologies change. So I wanted this to be evergreen for everybody. And the principles are, some of the specific technologies, in 100 years might be obsolete, but take the essence of what I'm saying. And if you want to get more, just look for it. You're smart. You can find it.
Nice. I like it. All right, guys. Well, Ben Gothard has been an amazing guest, so definitely go search for his name, find out where he's at, connect with him. He's a great guy. He has a lot of wisdom. He's had a lot of success, and he's involved with a number of different things that can definitely help you as well. As an e-commerce business owner, this is why I brought him on, because I knew he would provide a ton of value for you. Thanks, Ben, for being on the show. I truly appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Josh, and thank you to everybody who is watching and listening. Hopefully, I made good on my promise to make this worth it all. So thank you for lending your ears at this time.
Thank you for tuning into the e-commerce performance marketing show. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, like, and comment with a timestamp of your favorite part and share it with a friend. Until our next episode, here's to you and the success of your e-commerce business.